Warning. The content on this channel is not intended or suitable for minors below 13 years of age. If that is you, please click off and come back when you're older. By continuing beyond this point, you affirm that you are 13 years of age or older.
What's up? What is going on, Swearoos? We're back with part 3 of Dear Esther, the Landmark Edition, and we are, I think, pretty close to the end of this. This is like just a visually stunning game. I think that's what just imagery and the story, I think, is the story here is not clear to me yet, but the imagery in this story, I think, are two of the big draws. You know, with walking simulators. They're also very, very calming sort of games, which, you know, these days we could probably all use a lot of, or more of anyway. So we're going to pick up where we left off, which was at this shed, kind of by this dock thing. So I'm still not 100% sure who the narrator is, but he is, he hurt himself and is on drugs. So we're just going to walk into the, I don't think we've actually drowned yet. So I think we're going to give that a go. We're just going to walk across this dock.
Come back.
Okay. Alright, so where did you put us? Oh, there it is. Okay. So we're down here with these little... Oh, it's another... You can actually see the writing on these little boats that the dude made. It's just, like, that kind of detail is just wild to me. You can get inside the boat. And then you can't. Alright. So let's go up. And we'll go up here. It's really interesting to me that it does this come back thing. Like that part, I think is really, it's really interesting, and it's really interesting it lets you actually do that as well. I think at Edith Finch, possibly, there was a part where if something happened to you, it would just restart you. So you can continue the narrative. I don't think you got achievements for offing yourself. But I mean, look at this. Look at this. This texture is just amazing.
I will drag my leg behind me. I will drag it like a crumpled hatchback, tires blown and sparking across the dimming lights of my vision. I'm running out of painkillers and am following the flicker of the moon home. When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they restarted his heart with the jump leads from a crumpled hatchback. It took 21 attempts to convince it to wake up.
So I guess we could have taken two paths here. Is there any point in doing this? That's weird. I wonder why I did that. More texture, I suppose. Whoa. The narrator's clearly losing his mind, though. He's getting less and less reliable as we go on here. Oh, the music, too. Music here is just gorgeous. In the previous section, by the way...
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
So madness apparently is the theme here. So they talked about this paint in the previous section. I wasn't paying strict attention to it, but they did mention how this paint was created, which is kind of a cool touch. So here we have And as he was proceeding, something. On his journey. As he was proceeding on his journey. Okay, so we have 2,000. Where's this going? There's really quite a lot to explore here. Here's the moon again. So this doesn't seem to go anywhere, it just goes back around, I guess. Let's see. We're just going to take a look here real quick. You know, of course, saying we're going to take a look real quick means that you're playing this fucking thing for hours. Trying to chase down every bit of those. There's another candle up here. Let's see what's over there. Why is there a candle here? That's really odd. Well, there's probably something. I don't know what's there. Let's I don't understand a lot of what's going on in this. I think this is supposed to be like a meditation on grief and possibly madness. Madness is at least a significant component of it. It appears as grief is as well. You kind of get fixated on stuff like that. Historical references. Sometimes you can... Oh shit, I don't know how to read this. Let's see, can we read over here? Has come near ending, and his journey is near ending, okay. And so we're getting close to the lighthouse finally, and... Oh my god.
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
And he was 3 days, whether he did neither eat nor drink. Okay. So this is more Bible passages, apparently. It's really curious to me that the candles are staying lit this long, as well as the idea of being on an island like this that is capable of vegetation and little else. Okay, we have a house and we have a cat. Should we go to the house? Let's go to the house.
There are headlights reflected in these retinas. Too long in the tunnels of my island without a bottom. The sea creatures have risen to the surface, but the gulls are not here to carry them back to their nests. I've become fixed, open and staring, an eye turned on itself. I've become an infected leg whose tracking lines form a perfect map of the junctions of the M5. I will take the exit at mid-fly and plummet to my Esther.
Okay. Let's see. Can't quite make that out. Let's go see what's in here. This is very concrete heavy. Structures here. I mean, I guess if you didn't want to be bothered by anybody, this would be quite a good place to be. No point in us falling off the cliff. Oops.
Come back.
And is okay. Alright, so yeah. Trying to fuck around reading that's not gonna work, so let's not do that again. We're way the hell up here. Somehow the moon is beneath us now. Something new. Somebody was super industrious trying to get up here and paint all this stuff and then there's caves and everything else. Something about me, I don't know. I don't know what any of this stuff is. I can't quite make it out. It's a lot of references.
Blind with panic, deaf with the roar of the cage traffic, heart stopped on the road to Damascus. Paul sat at the roadside, hunched up like a gull, like a bloody gull. As useless and as doomed as a syphilitic cartographer, a dying goat herd, an infected leg, a kidney stone, blocking the traffic bound for Sanford and Exeter. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all. All his roads and his tunnels and his paths led inevitably to this moment of impact. This is not a recorded natural condition. He should not be sat there with his chemicals and his circuit diagrams. He should not be sat there at all.
Wow, looks like we got a little storm whipping up here. How do they get all this concrete up here to put all this pipe and all this steel into these railings and whatnot? This is quite a remarkable feat to be able to do this. They just haul it over wheelbarrows or what? And here we have a whole bunch of metal chain link fence. More concrete for barrier wall. Get on this and win. Is that actual words?
I am the Ariel. In my passing,
Okay,
I will send news to each and every star.
There's a beacon here set plays that to it.
Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jacobson? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jacobson flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
So I'm not making any movements, by the way. The game has taken it over as soon as I went through that fence. Alright, so we're doing a deep dive here, it looks like, into the cliff face. Okay, so there is the end of this, and we're going to let the credits go as we usually do. Okay, so there we have it. That was Dear Esther from the Chinese Room, the landmark edition of Dear Esther. And as a narrative, I thought it was interesting. So I really, really like the visuals, and I like the music. The narration was outstanding. I wish I could move the guy a little bit further. And honestly, so the narrative of, I guess I kind of always look to Edith Finch as kind of the gold standard, really, of that style of game. Because even you can look at the Coming Home game as well from Fulbright. The other one I think is Annapurna, the Edith Finch. You look at those, and the narrative is not always super clear for a lot of the time, but it does resolve itself into something at the end. Now, both those are a little twisty towards the end. It doesn't necessarily have to be twisty, but this one, you know, we've seen all these sort of ramshackle dwellings, buildings, and stuff. Most of them are not functional anymore. And then we've got this aerial tower that's just kind of in the middle of nowhere with not any sort of discernible thing powering it. And we've got these concrete steps and stuff. So there's a lot of unanswered questions, I think, you know, for me in this. Partially, who is actually, you know, who we are. Are we a bird? You know, at the end we are. Are we a bird that is kind of going through this? When the narrator is saying, come back when we die, who is he speaking with? Like, who's he talking to? It's just not ever clear to me what is going on there. Like, we suddenly showed up on a dock, and then we go through and look around the first building, and we look through all these other paths and do all this other kind of stuff. My guess for some of this alternate paths and stuff is there probably are some hidden objects, but you can't interact with anything. The only thing you can do is actually just move forward or backward or side to side and turn around. There's not a lot of things that you can do outside of those particular circumstances in this game. And as far as being interactive with stuff, some of the other ones, they vary to different extents, where you can pick up objects and open doors and stuff like that. This one does not have any sort of ability there. And you can die in this one, but it'll stop you from proceeding along paths where the game, you know, where the designers don't want you to be going. So overall, I thought this was a really interesting game. Again, the visuals and the sound and the effects were outstanding. There's a lot really about this game that I enjoyed, and I definitely think everyone should play it. But as far as what it is meant to do, I'm not 100% clear on what that is. To me, it's just kind of a collection of cool stuff, but as a complete whole, I think there's some parts I wish they would have, that I could have been more understanding of, I guess, is kind of where I'm going with that. Just a lot of this stuff. And, you know, here's the thing, as cool as that was, not being able to kind of skip ahead to some of these other parts to see, you know, the things I might have missed, to be able to read some of the scrawlings on the wall. There's not a way that I'm going to consider playing this again to do that. I think like most walking simulators, you play through them once, and there's just not a lot of incentive to go back and skip around and do it again. I will say this though, as far as design and things like that, the caves, even though I'm not a super big fan of that sort of thing, the caves I think was just a beautiful, immaculately done, gorgeous level. So if you were going to go back and look through something again, that would definitely be a level to kind of go through again, because it is just stunning, visually just stunning, as caves often are. But the rest of it, to me, there's more questions, I guess, kind of up in the air, with some of the infrastructure and stuff like that, and it's just the way my mind works. But there's a lot more of that sort of stuff that was actually answered. So, but again, definitely an enjoyable experience. And if you like walking simulators, this is definitely a good one to go through. But anyway, that's going to do it for this. Do it for Dear Esther, the Landmark Edition. This is part 3, the end of the game. And we'll be back in the next video with something new. Hopefully something as bold and exciting as this. Who knows? Not me. Not yet, anyway. But we'll find out together. And until our time squares, peace out.